from the Bomas of Kenya in Nairobi. Let's take a look.
It's been about 2 weeks now since Kenyans went to the polls on the August 8th general election, and a week since the IEBC chair announced Uhuru Kenyatta as president-elect. But now, a huge legal battle looms at the Supreme Court as that victory has been challenged. Today, I returned to the Bomas of Kenya, which was hosting the National Tallying Center. And as you can see behind me, this auditorium is completely deserted. But here at the Bomas of Kenya next door, IEBC officials are still here and busy at work. Let's go have a look. It's almost 2 weeks after the elections, but there's staff here busy at work. What's going on?
First of all, we should say that we've been here for the last 4 or so days after the election. We had to mobilize all our team members to bring us all the original documents for purposes of archiving, and also in preparation for the the Supreme Court case. These are guys who are doing the data entry. We had people here just going through the forms, clarifying that all the forms that we require from the field have been delivered by the relevant returning officers. We also have, of course, lawyers who are also guiding us in terms of preparing for the Supreme Court case. And you can see that, of course, all these are the famous Form 34s, copies of Form 34s.
So this is 34A?
The 34As, yeah, this is 34As. So we have the over 40,000 34As, and we have to certify all the 40,000 plus. And that's what is happening here. Then we are going to bind them.
So that is where the original forms are?
Yes. The room is small, but we can guarantee you that it's how much organized. All these are original forms from all over the field, 40,000 polling stations across the country.
Online, we're seeing some people getting copies on your website that were from, say, exercise books. And then later we'd see the commission post what the commission would say were originals. What was that about? Yeah,
I mean, we followed up that issue of the exercise book and to find out what happened with the presiding officer. And he wrote to us a letter explaining that after they had done the tallying and completed everything, he wrote the results on the exercise book and went ahead in what he said he was testing. Only to realize later on, you cannot test. This, once you lock it up. But he presented the original Form 34.
We're getting reports that in Embakasi, some ballot boxes and papers have been discovered today. What can you tell us about that?
No, what happened yesterday, but one, is that we are requesting for those returning officers who are not presented to us the original Form 34S for purposes of this process to do so. Apparently, the returning officer for Embakasi South had been hospitalized. He's in the hospital today. So he instructed the deputy returning officer to go and look for those documents. And so when they went to the tallying center, they found the documents. But in the process, of course, the police had to raise concern about the access of those ballot boxes. And what we did is that we told the police to hold on, and we requested for the other agents, representing the two main parties in the election, to be available before any decision would be taken in as far as those forms were concerned. There were about 14 or so forms that we were expecting. So on one hand, it was an issue that was supposed to be more administrative, but given the manner in which the instructions were issued, I think there was an oversight on the side of the officers in terms of what they needed to have done. They needed to have actually consulted.
So NASA has moved to court. The Supreme Court filed a petition. I imagine by now you know who will be representing IEBC. Can you talk to us about that?
Of course, yeah, there are lawyers out there who qualify to do this job.
Who are the main lawyers?
You'll see them out there. You'll see them out there. I don't think we want to talk about names, but they'll show up on Monday. No, we have 4 main senior counsels. I think they're the ones who will be leading the team.
I imagine as IEBC, you're hoping that this petition is unsuccessful and the result is upheld. But if it is successful and we must have a repeat election, is IEBC ready to conduct another election?
I think the question will be, will the country be ready to conduct another election? When we get there, of course, we should be able to do what the law requires us to do, because it's a framework that governs that.
There was a question of the ballot papers, the extra papers before the general election. So many are wondering, now that the election is over, where are they? They're about over 1 million?
There's an accountability framework that governs reconciliation of ballot papers. And we have those documents recorded, information recorded in what we call poll day diaries, and we are collecting all that information to ensure that all the ballot papers issued are accounted for. So it's still work that is going on at the constituency level, at the county level, and as you can see at the National Tallying Center.
On a very light note, finally,
yes.
You became quite the attraction with the ladies, the Chiloba, and memes and all kinds of messages. Did you get to see all of this, that as we're waiting for the results, there was a fascination with the CEO and his looks and whether he's married and how much money and how tall is he?
No. I mean, it was a bit flattering, but what I say that at least people paid attention to the election. And that's part of maybe a strategy we need to employ when it comes to civic education. In the meantime,
you'll be the poster boy for IEBC.
There might be others. Many others will come after me. I'm trying to read those things now. I have not been reading them, so I'm trying to read them slowly by slowly. I've got 5,000 messages to read.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was great.
Well, that interview by my colleague Sophia Onuna sets the stage for the way it is this morning. IEBC and Uhuru Kenyatta was served